Hello, property nomads. Hope you're doing well. Got a very interesting article to share with you today. And yes, we're going back to our old friend, climate change. But the thing that makes this quite a fascinating story in a sad way, and I'm going to try not to get on my high horse too quickly here, is that there's this chap who is suing the government for not doing enough on global warming. And as a result, of that, or the reason why he's doing that, is because he lost his home to the North Sea coastal erosion, despite the fact it's been going on for hundreds of years, of course. But that's not important. This is all about coastal erosion and global warming, and the fact that this chap is actually suing the government, I think, is a sad state of affairs. But let's go over to this article. Again, as usual, links will be in the show notes. Let me just bring up that screen share job. Fantastic. So, yes, you'll see here, man who lost his Norfolk home to North Sea coastal erosion sues the government for not doing enough on global warming. And he says that they've made him a climate refugee. Well, first of all, first world problems. Second of all, for those of you that aren't familiar with UK geography, the Norfolk coastline is absolutely beautiful. It really is. But just like most of the east of England in general, there is quite a bit of erosion, and it's been happening for centuries. It's not like it's come out of the blue. Coastal erosion has been happening for centuries and centuries on the east coast of England. I remember years ago living up in Hull. Some of the early spring days or summer days, you would go over to places such as Hornsey or Withensea, which were right on the coast up there in Yorkshire. And I appreciate Yorkshire isn't Norfolk, but my point being that you go there and there's a plaque, I think, in Withensea, and it points out to the sea, and it said along the lines of, you know, it this was home to this church or this town or this settlement, 700 years ago, and it points out a mile and a half out to sea, and you makes you. I mean, a mile and a half is a pretty decent distance, and it makes you appreciate that 500 or 600 years ago, whenever that settlement or church or whatever it was there, that was an extra mile and a half out to sea than it is now. And that just shows coastal erosion over a large period of time. So it does happen, it does exist. At the same time, erosion is happening, land is being reclaimed. So I'm sure it all offsets each other anyway. Going back to Norfolk, Norfolk is sort of on that same coastline as such, and it has suffered from erosion in the past. It's suffering from erosion today, and guess what? It's going to suffer from erosion moving forward. Now, I'll be as kind as I can to this chap, guy called Kevin Jordan, 70 years old. He says he's lost everything after sea erosion saw his home, which is near Great Yarmouth, demolished by the local council. So, in fact, first port of call, again, going back to the headline, man who lost his Norfolk home to North Sea coastal erosion sues the government for not doing enough on global warming, says they made him a climate refugee. Right, so he says he's lost everything, but actually the council decided to take the home down. So it's not like his home's been swept into the sea. That's point number one. Number two, of course, we've all got to blame climate change for this. It doesn't matter the fact that erosion's been around for hundreds of years. We have to blame climate change for this. And of course, the government is there to do everything for us. So we have to blame the government as well. That's point number two. Point number three would be that he's claiming that the government's failure to protect his home is a breach of his human rights. Well, anyone that's sensible would understand the risks of living near to the seaside. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't live near the seaside. Where we live in Brighton, we're about 150 meters away from the sea. We understand the perils of that should things happen moving forwards. We understand that. If you live in Norfolk, or you live in East Yorkshire, or anywhere on the North Sea, you are going to be prone to erosion and landslides, landslips, whatever it might be. That is going to happen. It's happened for hundreds of years before. It's going to happen for the next hundreds of years. It's going to happen now. It is probably happening now, even if it's like, you know, a hundredth of an inch a day or whatever it might be. It is happening now. So as a homeowner, as a responsible homeowner, you should have knowledge of that, as far as I'm concerned. I'm moving to Mexico at some point. Okay, where am I looking to move to? In an area that doesn't sit exactly on an earthquake fault line, but it is in a relatively earthquake happy zone. Right, why am I doing that? Well, no, I won't go into that in this video. But when it comes to building a home there, then you know, the wife and myself, we look at it and go, right, okay, what protections do we need to make sure the home is as earthquake proof as possible? What construction methods do we need to use? How do we make sure that we've got everything, you know, securely fastened in the event of an earthquake happening? Obviously, hopefully, an earthquake never happens, but if it does, then do we have the important question number one is a TV bracketed on the wall, of course, but you know, what have we got in place to make sure that we don't lose our home? So we're thinking about it this way. Again, it's being proactive rather than reactive. I've never lost a home to flooding. I've never lost a home to coastal erosion. You know, I cannot put myself into these people's shoes with what it feels like to lose a home. So I'll hold my hands up to that. But the fact, getting back to the actual element of this, suing the government for not doing enough on global warming seems like a step too far to me. It really is. Saying that he's been made a climate refugee, it just sounds so pathetic and so 21st century. It's unbelievable. I'm sure we don't do this channel for, you know, wanting the likes or for wanting the comments below or anything like that. Please do comment on that below if you just think it's so soft and so 21st century. You know, I just want to know that I'm not the only one out there that feels that seems that this is completely balmy. It's just crazy. And again, there's again a report out there that says 500,000 properties could be at risk of collapsing or flooded, with 3 times that figure set to be in danger by 2080, so 1.5 million by 2080. But what doesn't help is that it's been a landmark ruling recently by the European Court of Human Rights, although I do wonder now if the UK is actually part of that with not being in the EU anymore. They found that the Swiss government had violated the human rights of a group of 2,500 elderly women by not acting on climate change. So this doesn't help. We'll see here, I believe, Seaside Cliff. This video you're probably watching now. Let's give this a watch. So this looks like Norfolk. 2 homes have been left dangling on the edge of cliffs at a place called Trimmingen after a cliff fall. Again, this is a Pelser living close to the seaside. This is Norfolk District Council. So yeah, right in that prone zone. I mean, that's quite scary to see all that. Again, it works both ways. I appreciate people want to live by the sea. You know, Aaron and myself live quite close to the seaside, albeit that is on the south coast, not the Norfolk coast. And you know, with the advantages of living on the seaside, there are disadvantages, and depending on where you are in the UK, you're going to have this stuff happen. So you've got to understand that that's going to happen as well, and stop blaming everything on everyone else. What makes me laugh going through this article is that he's a self-professed climate warrior. Mr. Jordan told the Telegraph that he's taken on the government as it was a natural thing to do. So yeah, of course, just another good old typical climate warrior. Of course, they're backed by Friends of the Earth. And we say that the government's current provision for people adversely affected by climate change is, you know, the National Adaptation Programme, NAP, is insufficient. Do you know what? It doesn't matter what the government does or what the government doesn't do. They're screwed. And when you get people like this, and again, I'm pretty sure it's not just me when I say that it's the 21st century. It's people being soft, and wanting a way out of absolutely everything, especially with things that are coming our way. That it just seems that, I don't know, maybe I've lost my marbles, maybe the world's lost its marbles, maybe that happened a long, long time ago. But it seems that if there's an issue in the world, then of course we can just blame the government or just blame climate change, and that's it. All our merry band of warriors will come around and support us. It seems that less and less people want to take responsibility for things in their lives and their situations. And I'm not saying don't live in North Norfolk. I'm not saying don't live on the coast. What I am saying is, if you do choose to live in areas that are near the seaside that have been prone to coastal erosion before, then maybe you should do your homework on that. And coastal erosion, certainly in this country, on that particular stretch of coastline, has been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We've had times in the last 500 or 600 years where we've had mini heat waves. We've had times where we've had mini ice ages. Um, you know, these things happen. It's just part of climate. It is what it is. Mother Nature will probably win in the end, whether we like it or not. So it seems that these people just want an out. They just want to blame someone else rather than look at themselves and go, hang on a minute, what could I have done? Could I have changed where I live? Could I have changed this? Could I have changed that? Could I have taken more responsibility in this situation? The answer, clearly from the article we've just seen, is no. And that is a sad, sad statement. And it's a sad state of affairs in general. The key thing from this is, don't just blame other people for everything. If something's gone wrong in your life, don't just blame other people. Don't blame the government all the time. Take responsibility, take decisions, make decisions that work for you. But don't just sit around and blame everyone else. It is completely and utterly pointless. Rant over, won't try and go on for too much longer. There's more important things to worry about, like, I don't know, imminent war threats that we can discuss in future videos. But thank you very much for listening. Please do us a small favor if you can. Like and subscribe to the channel. The channel's growing nicely, and it's all thanks to you liking and subscribing, enjoying the content, and sharing the content, of course, with your network as well, your social media network. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.